When professionalism meets temptation. Olivia Bennet had worked for Nicholas Hart for nearly 3 years. In that time, she had become the invisible force behind his success. She anticipated his needs before he voiced them, managed his impossible schedule with grace, and maintained perfect professionalism even when other assistants crumbled under the pressure. Nicholas Hart was not an easy man to work for, but Olivia thrived on the challenge. The glass towers of Hart Industries stood proud against the morning sky as Olivia arrived at her desk. She carried 2 coffees, one black for Nicholas and one caramel latte for herself. Her navy dress was perfectly pressed, her dark hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. Everything about Olivia spoke of control and precision. The message that changed everything. It was a Thursday afternoon when Olivia's phone buzzed with a notification. She glanced down, expecting another work email or calendar reminder. Instead, her screen filled with an image that made her breath stop completely. Nicholas Hart stood in what appeared to be his home gym, wearing only athletic shorts. His phone was angled to capture his reflection in a full-length mirror. Every muscle of his torso was visible, defined and powerful. His dark hair was slightly damp, his expression focused and serious as he documented his workout progress. Olivia felt heat flood her face. Her hands trembled as she held the phone, unable to look away yet knowing she absolutely should. For 3 years, she had maintained an iron wall between herself and any personal thoughts about her boss. Yes, she had noticed he was handsome. That was unavoidable. But she had never allowed herself to see him as anything other than the man who signed her paychecks. This photo demolished that wall in seconds. The panicked phone call. Before Olivia could process what was happening, her phone rang. Nicholas's name flashed across the screen. She answered with a voice that sounded steadier than she felt. "Olivia, I need you to delete that photo immediately." Nicholas's usual commanding tone was replaced with something raw and embarrassed. "That was meant for my personal trainer. I must have clicked your contact by mistake. I cannot apologize enough." "Of course, Mr. Hart," Olivia replied, forcing herself to sound calm and unaffected. "These things happen with technology. Consider it deleted and forgotten." "You are incredibly professional," Nicholas said, and she heard genuine relief in his voice. "Thank you for handling this with such grace. I hope this does not create any awkwardness between us." "Not at all," Olivia lied smoothly. "I will see you at the 2 o'clock meeting as scheduled." After she hung up and deleted the photo as promised, Olivia sat motionless at her desk. Her heart pounded against her ribs. How was she supposed to look at Nicholas now? How could she sit across from him in meetings, take notes during his phone calls, and maintain her professional mask when she had seen him like that? Trying to forget. The afternoon crawled by with agonizing slowness. Olivia threw herself into work, organizing files that did not need organizing, color-coding schedules that were already perfect. Anything to keep her mind occupied. When Nicholas emerged from his office for the 2 o'clock meeting, Olivia kept her eyes fixed on her tablet, taking notes with fierce concentration. But she was aware of everything about him. The way he moved. The strength in his hands as he gestured during presentations. The broad shoulders hidden beneath his perfectly tailored charcoal suit. That suit that now she knew concealed a body that belonged in fitness magazines. Nicholas seemed equally uncomfortable. He stumbled over words during the presentation, something she had never witnessed before. His eyes kept darting to her, then quickly away. The tension in the conference room was thick enough to cut. Night brings no peace. That evening, Olivia sat in her small apartment, staring at her dinner without appetite. Her best friend Claire called, sensing something was wrong through their mysterious friendship telepathy. "What happened?" Claire demanded. "You sound weird." "My boss accidentally sent me a photo of himself," Olivia said carefully. "A photo he meant to send to his trainer." Claire gasped. "Was it bad?" "The opposite," Olivia admitted. It was very, very good. Too good. Now I cannot stop thinking about him, and I hate myself for it. Olivia, you have been half in love with this man for years, Claire said gently. You just never let yourself admit it. He is my boss, Claire. This is my dream job. I cannot risk everything because of one stupid photo. Maybe the photo was not an accident, Claire suggested. Maybe some part of him wanted you to see it. Olivia rejected that idea immediately, but it planted a seed that kept her awake all night. She remembered small moments over the past 3 years. The way Nicholas always remembered her coffee order. How he had given her Christmas bonus large enough to pay off her student loans. The time he had noticed she seemed sad and gently asked if everything was okay with her family. Were those just the actions of a thoughtful boss, or had there been something more? The morning after. Olivia arrived at the office early the next morning, determined to prove nothing had changed. She prepared Nicholas's schedule, laid out documents for his meetings, and had his coffee waiting when he walked through the door at exactly 8 o'clock. Nicholas paused at her desk. He looked tired, as though he had not slept well either. Their eyes met, and something electric passed between them. Something that had always been there, perhaps, but was now impossible to ignore. Good morning, Olivia, Nicholas said quietly. Good morning, Mr. Hart, she replied. They stared at each other for a moment too long. Then Nicholas cleared his throat and headed into his office, closing the door behind him. Olivia exhaled shakily and tried to focus on her computer screen. But she knew with absolute certainty that nothing would ever be the same again. The photo had changed everything, and there was no going back to the comfortable professional distance they had maintained for 3 years. The question was what came next, and whether they were brave enough to find out, when hearts refused to stay silent. The days following the photo incident felt like walking through a minefield. Olivia measured every word, every glance, every movement around Nicholas. But despite her careful control, something fundamental had shifted between them. The air felt charged whenever they occupied the same space, thick with unspoken thoughts and dangerous possibilities. Nicholas began finding reasons to linger at her desk. He would ask questions about schedules he managed perfectly well on his own. He requested her opinion on matters he had always decided independently. During meetings, Olivia caught him staring at her with an intensity that made her skin warm and her concentration scatter like leaves in wind. The messages begin. It started 3 days after the photo incident. Olivia was finishing dinner in her apartment when her personal phone chimed with a message from Nicholas. Her work phone stayed silent, which meant this was intentional. This was him choosing to contact her outside office hours on her private number. Thank you for handling the Patterson account so brilliantly today. You saved me from a disaster. Olivia stared at the message. It was professional enough, but something about receiving it on her personal phone at 8 in the evening felt intimate. She debated not responding, but her fingers moved across the keyboard before her mind could stop them. Just doing my job. You hired me to handle disasters. His response came quickly. I hired you because you are exceptional at everything you do. Olivia set her phone down, her heart racing. This felt like flirtation disguised as professional appreciation. She should establish boundaries, remind him they needed to keep things strictly business. Instead, she found herself smiling at the screen. The coffee that said everything. The next morning, Olivia arrived at her desk to find a cup from Moonbeam Cafe waiting for her. Not the corporate coffee Nicholas usually had delivered. This was from the tiny independent shop 4 blocks away that Olivia had mentioned once, months ago, made the best vanilla lattes in the entire city. A small note was tucked beneath the cup in Nicholas's distinctive handwriting. Thought you deserved something special today. Olivia looked up to find Nicholas watching her through his office window. When their eyes met, he smiled. Not his professional CEO smile, but something warm and genuine that transformed his entire face. Olivia felt something flutter dangerously in her chest. She picked up the coffee and walked to his office door, knocking gently. Nicholas gestured for her to enter. "You remembered," Olivia said softly, holding up the cup. "I remember everything you tell me," Nicholas replied, his dark eyes holding hers. "Everything, Olivia." The way he said her name, with such careful emphasis, made her knees feel weak. She should leave. She should thank him politely and return to her desk where professional distance could protect them both. Instead, she stood frozen, drowning in the intensity of his gaze. The confession. That afternoon, Olivia was working alone in the small conference room, organizing documents for an upcoming presentation. She heard the door open and close behind her. Nicholas stood there, having shut them away from the rest of the office. The blinds were already drawn for privacy. "We need to talk," Nicholas said, his voice low and serious. Olivia set down her papers with trembling hands. "About what, Mr. Hart?" "About the fact that I cannot stop thinking about you," Nicholas said, moving closer. "About how that photo was not entirely an accident." Olivia's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" Nicholas ran a hand through his dark hair, a gesture of frustration she rarely saw from him. "I mean that yes, it was intended for my trainer. But Olivia, you are right next to his contact in my phone. Some part of my mind must have wanted you to see it. To break through this wall we have built between us." "Nicholas," Olivia breathed, using his first name for the first time ever. "You are my boss. This is complicated and dangerous and could destroy everything I have worked for." "I know," Nicholas acknowledged, taking another step closer. "I have spent 3 years trying to ignore how I feel about you. Telling myself it was inappropriate, that I was just admiring your professional skills. But that photo changed something. Watching you try so hard to pretend nothing happened made me realize I cannot pretend anymore either." Olivia's heart pounded so hard she thought it might escape her chest. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that you are the first person I want to talk to when something good happens," Nicholas said, his voice rough with emotion. "The only one who can calm me when deals fall apart. That somewhere along the way, you became the most important person in my life, and I cannot keep treating you like just my assistant." The choice. Nicholas reached out slowly, giving Olivia time to step back if she wanted. When she did not move, he gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers barely grazed her cheek, but that whisper of contact sent electricity through her entire body. "Tell me I am alone in this," Nicholas said softly, vulnerability clear in his dark eyes. "Tell me you feel nothing, and I will never mention it again. We will go back to being strictly professional, and I will find a way to move past these feelings." Olivia knew she should lie. Self-preservation demanded it. Protecting her career, her reputation, and her heart all required her to deny the truth. But standing there with Nicholas so close, seeing the hope and fear warring in his expression, she found she could not do it. "You are not alone," Olivia whispered. The transformation in Nicholas's face was beautiful. Relief and joy flooded his features, making him look younger and more vulnerable than she had ever seen. He started to lean toward her, then stopped himself abruptly. "Not here," Nicholas said, though his voice was rough with barely restrained desire. "Not in this office where everything is complicated by power dynamics and professionalism. You deserve better than a stolen kiss in a conference room." The invitation. Nicholas stepped back, putting careful distance between them even as his eyes remained locked on hers. "Have dinner with me tonight. A real date, away from Hart Industries. Let me take you somewhere we can just be Nicholas and Olivia, two people exploring something that terrifies and excites them both." Olivia nodded, not trusting her voice. 7 o'clock, Nicholas said. "I will pick you up from your apartment. Wear something that makes you feel beautiful, though you could wear anything and still take my breath away." After Nicholas left the conference room, Olivia leaned against the table, her legs suddenly unable to support her weight. Everything had just changed in ways she could not predict or control. The safe, predictable path she had been walking for 3 years had just forked into unknown territory. Preparing for the unknown. Olivia left work early, claiming a headache that was not entirely false. Her mind spun with 1,000 thoughts as she rode the subway home. She called Claire the moment she entered her apartment. "He asked me to dinner," Olivia said without preamble. "Nicholas asked me on a date." Claire squealed so loudly that Olivia had to hold the phone away from her ear. "Finally. This has been building forever. What are you going to wear?" Olivia stood before her closet for 45 minutes, trying on and rejecting outfit after outfit. Too formal. Too casual. Too obviously trying too hard. Finally, she chose a deep burgundy dress that was elegant without being overdressed, sophisticated but still approachable. She styled her dark hair in loose waves and applied makeup with careful precision. When 7 o'clock arrived, Olivia's doorbell rang. She opened it to find Nicholas standing there in dark jeans and a navy sweater that somehow made him look more approachable than his usual business attire. His eyes traveled over her with undisguised admiration. "You look absolutely stunning," Nicholas said, offering his arm. The first date. Nicholas had chosen a small Italian restaurant tucked away in a quiet neighborhood far from the business district where they might encounter colleagues or clients. Soft candlelight illuminated their corner table, and gentle music provided a backdrop for conversation. Away from the office, Nicholas revealed layers of himself that Olivia had only glimpsed before. He spoke about growing up in a working-class neighborhood, how his widowed mother had worked multiple jobs to fund his education, about the years of struggle and failure before his first business success. "People see the CEO and the corner office," Nicholas said, reaching across the table to take Olivia's hand. "But that is not who I am underneath. My mother cleaned offices in buildings like the one I now own. I never forget that, and I never forget that success means nothing without people who matter to share it with." "Is that why you are always so kind to the building staff?" Olivia asked. "I noticed you know all their names." "They work just as hard as anyone in the executive suite," Nicholas said simply. "Probably harder." Olivia felt something shift inside her chest. This was not just attraction to a handsome, powerful man. This was deeper. She was falling for the person Nicholas truly was beneath the CEO facade. As the evening progressed, they talked about everything. Dreams they had shelved, fears they rarely voiced, and hopes for futures they had not allowed themselves to imagine. When Nicholas walked Olivia to her apartment door at midnight, the air between them crackled with possibility. "I want to kiss you," Nicholas said softly. "But only if you truly want that too." Olivia answered by rising on her toes and pressing her lips to his. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative and exploring. Then Nicholas's arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her closer, and the kiss deepened into something that made the world disappear. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Nicholas rested his forehead against hers. "This is just the beginning," he whispered. "If you want it to be." "I want it," Olivia breathed. "I want everything." When love demands courage. The morning after their first date, Olivia woke with sunlight streaming through her curtains and a smile she could not suppress. For the first time in 3 years, she felt truly alive. The professional mask she had worn so carefully had fallen away, revealing emotions she had buried deep. Nicholas had texted her good night after leaving her apartment, and again this morning with a simple message that made her heart sing. "Good morning, beautiful. Last night was perfect. See you soon." Olivia floated through her morning routine, choosing a soft blue dress that Nicholas had once complimented. When she arrived at Hart Industries, everything looked the same, yet felt completely different. She was seeing her workplace through new eyes, eyes that now held hope and possibility instead of just professional ambition. The office knows. Nicholas arrived 30 minutes after Olivia, which was unusual. He typically beat everyone to the office. When he passed her desk, their eyes met and held for a moment too long. Something passed between them, something warm and intimate that could not be hidden. Nicholas smiled, a private smile meant only for her, before heading into his office. Olivia tried to focus on her work, but she felt lighter than air. She caught herself smiling at nothing, replaying moments from their dinner. The way Nicholas had listened so intently to everything she said. How his hand had felt holding hers across the table. That perfect, earth-shattering kiss at her doorway. By lunch, whispers had started circulating through the office. Claire, who worked in marketing 2 floors down, appeared at Olivia's desk with knowing eyes. "Everyone is talking about how Mr. Hart is acting different today," Claire whispered. "And you are glowing like you swallowed the sun. What happened after dinner?" "He kissed me," Olivia admitted quietly, unable to stop smiling. "Claire, it was perfect. He was perfect. This is real." "I am so happy for you," Claire said, squeezing her hand. "But Olivia, be careful. Office relationships are complicated, especially when one person is the CEO." Olivia knew Claire was right, but in that moment, she could not bring herself to worry. She was too happy, too full of hope and possibility. The challenge appears. That afternoon, Jonathan Pierce arrived at Hart Industries unannounced. Jonathan was Nicholas's biggest business rival, a man who had tried multiple times to acquire Hart Industries or destroy it. He was charming in a calculated way, handsome in a cold manner that never reached his eyes. Olivia had always found him unsettling. "Mr. Pierce is here to see you," Olivia informed Nicholas through the intercom. "He does not have an appointment." "Send him in," Nicholas replied, his tone instantly professional and guarded. Olivia escorted Jonathan to Nicholas's office, feeling his eyes on her in a way that made her skin crawl. As she turned to leave, Jonathan spoke. "Miss Bennet, you are looking particularly radiant today. New boyfriend perhaps?" Olivia kept her expression neutral. "Is there anything else you need, Mr. Pierce?" "Just admiring," Jonathan said with a smile that did not reach his eyes. Nicholas always did have excellent taste in assistants. After closing the door, Olivia returned to her desk with an uneasy feeling settling in her stomach. Through the glass walls, she could see the 2 men talking. Nicholas's posture was tense, his expression hard. Whatever they were discussing was not pleasant. The revelation and the threat. 45 minutes later, Jonathan emerged from Nicholas's office wearing a satisfied smirk. He paused at Olivia's desk, leaning close enough that she could smell his expensive cologne. "A word of advice, Miss Bennet," Jonathan said quietly. "Office romances rarely end well, especially when there is such a power imbalance. People will talk. They will question your competence, wonder what favors you traded for your position. Is Nicholas really worth destroying your reputation?" Olivia felt ice flood her veins. "I do not know what you are implying, but you are mistaken." "Am I?" Jonathan straightened, his smile sharp as broken glass. "I have eyes everywhere, Olivia. That romantic little Italian restaurant last night? One of my associates saw you and Nicholas looking very cozy. Very intimate. It would be unfortunate if word spread through the business community that the great Nicholas Hart is sleeping with his secretary." "Get out," Olivia said coldly, standing to face him. "Now." Jonathan chuckled and walked away, leaving Olivia shaking with anger and fear. She had known their relationship would face challenges, but she had not expected attacks to begin so quickly. Before she could process what had happened, Nicholas emerged from his office. "What did Jonathan say to you?" Nicholas demanded, his eyes dark with fury. "He knows about us," Olivia said quietly. "Someone saw us at dinner last night. He threatened to spread rumors through the business community." Nicholas's jaw clenched. That manipulative snake. He is trying to find any weakness he can exploit. "Olivia, I am so sorry. I never wanted you to face this kind of pressure." The decision. That evening, Olivia sat in her apartment feeling the weight of reality crushing her earlier happiness. Her phone rang. It was Nicholas. "Can I come over?" he asked. "We need to talk about this properly." 20 minutes later, Nicholas sat on her couch, his hands holding hers. The joy from this morning had been replaced by serious concern. "I will not let Jonathan or anyone else hurt you because of me," Nicholas said firmly. "If continuing this relationship puts your reputation at risk, we can stop. I can transfer you to another department with a promotion, full recommendations. Your career will not suffer because of my feelings." Olivia felt tears prick her eyes. "Is that what you want? To stop?" "No," Nicholas said immediately, his voice raw. "I want to be with you more than I have wanted anything in years. But I want what is best for you more than I want what I desire." Olivia looked at this man who was willing to sacrifice his own happiness for her well-being. In that moment, she realized she was not just falling for Nicholas' heart. She loved him completely and irrevocably. "I do not want to stop," Olivia said firmly. "Yes, this will be complicated. Yes, people will talk and judge. But Nicholas, I have spent 3 years being the perfect professional, never taking risks, always playing it safe. For once in my life, I want to be brave enough to fight for something that matters. You matter. We matter." Going public. The next morning, Nicholas called an emergency meeting of Hart Industries senior staff. Olivia sat beside him at the conference table, her heart pounding but her head held high. 20 executives stared at them curiously. "I have gathered you here to make an announcement," Nicholas began, his voice steady and confident. "Olivia Bennett and I are in a relationship. This is personal and real, and I want complete transparency with this leadership team. Olivia earned her position through exceptional skill and dedication. Her competence has never been in question, and I will not tolerate anyone suggesting otherwise." The room fell silent. Then Rebecca Hart, who served on the board of directors and happened to be Nicholas's mother, spoke up. "About time," Rebecca said with a warm smile. "I have been watching you two dance around each other for 3 years. Olivia, welcome to the family, dear." The tension broke. Other executives offered congratulations and support. Not everyone looked happy, but Nicholas had made his position clear. Anyone who had a problem with the relationship would be dealing with the CEO directly. The viral moment. What Nicholas and Olivia did not anticipate was how quickly news would spread beyond Hart Industries. Someone at that meeting posted about it on social media. Within hours, business news outlets picked up the story. By evening, CEO Nicholas Hart confirms relationship with assistant was trending. The reactions were mixed. Some celebrated their transparency and courage. Others criticized the power dynamics. But then something unexpected happened. A viral video surfaced from a charity gala Hart Industries had sponsored 3 months earlier. Security footage showed Nicholas at a buffet table, carefully selecting items. The video had been slowed down and captioned. "Watch closely. He is not making his own plate. He is making hers. Notice how he picks only things she likes, avoids things she mentioned she was allergic to. This man has been in love for months." The video exploded across platforms. Comments flooded in from people sharing their own stories of secret workplace romances, of finding love in unexpected places. What could have been a scandal transformed into something hopeful. Nicholas and Olivia became symbols of choosing love despite complications. The mother's blessing. 2 weeks later, Nicholas brought Olivia to dinner at his childhood home. Rebecca Hart welcomed her with genuine warmth, showing Olivia photos of Nicholas as a serious, determined child. "He has always been so focused on success," Rebecca said, pouring tea. "So driven to prove himself. I worried he would forget to actually live, to find someone who saw past the CEO to the wonderful man underneath." Thank you for loving my son, Olivia. Thank you for raising a man worth loving, Olivia replied, feeling tears in her eyes. The proposal. 6 months after that accidental photo changed everything, Nicholas took Olivia back to the small Italian restaurant where they had their first date. The same corner table was waiting, covered in rose petals and candlelight. I have rehearsed this speech 100 times, Nicholas said, taking both her hands. But now that we are here, all I can think is how grateful I am for technology failures and accidental photos. Olivia, you have made me braver, kinder, and more honest than I ever was before. You saw me, truly saw me, and loved me anyway. Nicholas knelt, producing a ring that sparkled in the candlelight. Will you marry me? Yes, Olivia said through happy tears. Yes, always yes. The happy beginning. Their wedding 6 months later was intimate and beautiful. Claire served as maid of honor. Rebecca cried happy tears throughout the ceremony. Even Jonathan Pierce sent a gift, though his card simply read, "You won." As Olivia and Nicholas danced at their reception, she thought about how one accidental photo had changed her entire life. She had been so afraid of risk, so focused on maintaining professional distance. But love had other plans. What are you thinking about? Nicholas asked, holding her close. About how the best things in life come when we are brave enough to stop pretending, Olivia said. About how grateful I am that your hand slipped that day. Nicholas laughed. My hand did not slip, Olivia. I told you. Some part of me wanted you to see that photo. Wanted to break through the walls we had built. My subconscious was braver than my conscious mind. Then thank you, subconscious Nicholas, Olivia said, kissing him softly. For being brave enough for both of us. As they swayed together, surrounded by people who loved them, Olivia realized something profound. Happiness was not found in playing it safe or maintaining perfect professionalism. It was found in taking risks, being vulnerable, and choosing love even when the path forward was uncertain. Their story had gone viral not because of scandal, but because it reminded people that love was worth fighting for. That sometimes the best things in life came from accidents, mistakes, and moments of unplanned courage. And it all started with one photo, sent to the wrong person at exactly the right time. The end.